Okay. Join Mr. Delos Reyes' meeting room.
Hi,
Are you
Eva.
there?
Hi.
Hi, Cyrus. You're muted. Cyrus, you have to unmute yourself.
I did call you before, but I thought I did.
Oh, there's Alexander King.
See, you could say, like, I don't think I should call from you. Okay, well,
Okay, we're just gonna wait for some friends to jump on. Okay, a little bit more friends to jump on, and then we're gonna read the second chapter. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good? Good.
Okay. Oh, I got my book.
Oh, you got your book? Great. And for those of you that don't have the book, it's okay because we're still gonna put up the illustrated version. Okay?
I think I have a book.
Okay.
Oh.
If you don't have to worry about it. We'll put up the illustrated version so that you can all read along with us. Okay? It's gonna be a shared reading.
I think I was right here. No. That's my, you see Uncle Sam.
Okay, there's Paloma.
Yeah, but Paloma's also muted.
I know.
Hey, Cyrus.
Hi.
You guys can talk to each other right now.
What's that? What?
We can talk together.
You can talk to each other right now, just before the reading starts, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, Paloma.
Hi.
If you move it this way, you'll be horizontal.
Here. Good.
How come it doesn't,
Can you
do you want me to see if I can set it up here?
Yeah.
I found it.
Where's that eraser? Where's that big eraser, Ezzy?
Hopefully some more friends will join.
Is that good?
No.
Do you want to wear the Harry Potter?
Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Okay.
Let me think of. Hold on. That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's too heavy.
Hold on, Bella.
It's on top. I had it on top.
How's your spring break been, guys?
Good.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Fun? What's the best thing you've done so far this break? Go with Dahlia, Sebastian, so you can go start reading the book. Papa's setting her up in the bedroom. What's the best thing you've done, Cyrus?
Done art.
Art? What kind of art have you done?
Art.
What kind of art have you done?
Like drawing.
Drawing? That's cool. What about you, Paloma?
The best thing I've done is
No! What did he get?
play with my dog.
Play with your dog? Yeah, it's nice to spend time with your pet. What about you, Eva?
Playing chess on my iPad.
Playing what?
Chess on my iPad.
Okay. I read your guys' writing this morning. You both did the same thing. But good news, right? Because you guys are going to be able to get computers soon, right? From the district. So you guys will be able to have more access to the games that you're used to using in the classroom. And then we can get ready to carry on with our learning, right? Okay, I'm gonna give maybe like 3 more minutes. I'm still waiting for Mr. Del Reyes to get down there. Down here, he's trying to set up Dahlia and Sebastian. And then if this is it, then we're gonna have a small Harry Potter meeting, okay? Miss Ayers should be joining us.
Where's that thing that you
Okay.
used to hold up the iPad? And Grandma's talking to you. Go get it.
Alexander, what's the best thing that you've done or the funnest thing you've done this week? Or so far?
I'm gonna write a diary to my teacher, Miss Huffman. The best thing I've done this week is
No, that's fine.
writing a computer for a diary to Miss Huffman.
Okay, that sounds like fun. Is Dahlia able to get on? Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. No, you know why? Because I didn't move gallery. Here we go. Oh, there's Dahlia. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Dahlia. Hi, Itzel. Ooh, scary in the background. A
There.
battle for Dahlia.
Now we figured it out.
Okay. You good? You want to set the book? Okay, Miss Ayers is just finishing something up for the yearbook she's working on, and then she's gonna jump on because she needs her computer. So she has to finish that up, and then she can jump on with us. Okay? Let me move so you can. Just let me move. Then I'll move over here so you can control. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Whoa.
Hey guys. Okay, let's see. Oh, hey, Nancy. Okay. Boom, and then boom, and you should be able to see the computer.
Bye, Bella.
Careful.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. Do any of you guys want to raise your hand if you guys would want to take a turn to read today, part of the book? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. So let me get it started, guys, and then Miss Villanueva and I will start off, and then Miss Ayers might jump in, and then we'll have some of you guys maybe take a turn. Okay. All right. Chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see the screen. Yay. Okay.
Sebastian, you can borrow my phone. Come here, baby.
The Vanishing Glass. Nearly 10 years has passed since the Dursleys had woken to find their nephew on the front step. But Privet Drive had hardly changed at all. The sun rose on the same tidy front gardens and lit up the brass number 4 on the Dursleys' front door. It crept into their living room, which was almost exactly the same as it had been on the night when Mr. Dursley had seen that fateful news report about the owls. No, I know it's here. That's fine. Miss Ayers, I'm unmuting you, okay? Just in case you need to jump in or say something.
Can you make me a co-host?
Okay, I'm trying to make you host. Is there another option to do it?
If you just click on my name and then it says like more, I think,
Uh-huh.
then you can like click on co-host or host. But we
Yeah.
can,
I'm clicking on make host right now.
yeah, then we'll share it, I think. It won't like take your hostness away. Or not. You don't have to.
He's trying.
I'm clicking on make host. Is anything happening on your side?
No.
Okay, cool.
It's okay.
Is this how you did it before?
Yeah, that's how I did it yesterday and it worked. But I don't know.
I don't know. I'm clicking on make host and it's not doing anything. Okay. Okay, nothing.
Dahlia has her hand up.
Yes, Dahlia?
Is it intentional that you're not flipping the page?
Did it turn?
No, we're still on the first page.
It's still on the first page?
Because you're converting me.
It might be because it might be a little slow because of that.
I can't see the book.
Okay. Okay, let's just move on. How about we just do that? There we go.
Yeah, they might not be able to read today. We're still trying to figure out like sometimes we're gonna have technical difficulties, guys.
Just okay. Do you guys see the first page? Okay. Did you see it? Did it go to the next page? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good. I think we're okay. Okay, the sun rose on the same tidy front gardens and lit up the brass number 4 on the Dursleys' front door. It crept into their living room, which was almost exactly the same as it had been on the night. When Mr. Dursley had seen that fateful news report about the owls. Only the photographs on the mantelpiece really showed how much time had passed. 10 years ago, there had been lots of pictures of what looked like a large pink beach ball wearing different colored bonnets. But Dudley Dursley was no longer a baby. And now the photographs showed a large blonde boy riding his first bicycle on a carousel at the fair, playing a computer game with his father, being hugged and kissed by his mother. The room held no sign at all that another boy lived in the house too. Yet Harry Potter was still there, asleep at the moment, but not for long. His Aunt Petunia was awake, and it was her shrill voice that made the first noise of the day. Up! Get up now! Harry woke with a start. His aunt rapped on the door again. So rapping is like when you're knocking on the door. Okay, it's not the other kind of rap. She's not really rapping. She's knocking on the door. It'd be kind of cool if she was rapping, but alas, no. Moving on. Up, she screeched. Harry heard her walking toward the kitchen, and then the sound of the frying pan being put on the stove. He rolled onto his back and tried to remember the dream he had been having. It had been a good one. There had been a flying motorcycle in it. Ooh, flying motorcycle. Doesn't that sound familiar? Raise your hand if you remember who was riding the flying motorcycle. Eva? I'm sorry, Paloma?
Um, um,
Why do you think he remembers that? Or he's having that dream?
because it happened. He saw the flying motorcycle and now he's dreaming it.
Yeah. Okay, and do
Dreaming
you guys
about-
remember who was on whose flying motorcycle that was? Cyrus? You can unmute yourself.
It was Hagrid.
Yeah, it was Hagrid.
Sebastian.
Okay. Let's see. There had been a flying motorcycle in it. He had a funny feeling he'd had the same dream before. His aunt was back outside the door. Are you up yet? She demanded. Nearly, said Harry. Well, get a move on. I want you to look after the bacon, and don't you dare let it burn. I want everything perfect on Dudley's birthday. Harry groaned. What did you say? His aunt snapped through. Oh, wait, sorry. Harry groaned. What did you say? His aunt snapped through the door. Nothing, nothing. Dudley's birthday. How could he have forgotten? Harry got slowly out of bed and started looking for socks.
Sure.
Miss Villanueva was going to take over for a second. Okay. Let me switch spots.
Okay. He found a pair under his bed, and after pulling a spider off of one of them, put them on. Harry was used to spiders because the cupboard under the stairs was full of them, and that was where he slept. When he was dressed, he went down the hall into the kitchen. The table was almost hidden beneath all Dudley's birthday presents. It looked as though Dudley had gotten the new computer he wanted, not to mention the second television and the racing bike. Exactly why Dudley wanted a racing bike was a mystery to Harry, as Dudley was very fat and hated exercise, unless, of course, it involved punching somebody. Dudley's favorite punching bag was Harry, but he couldn't often catch him. Harry didn't look it, but he was very fast. Perhaps it had something to do with living in a dark cupboard, but Harry had always been small and skinny for his age. He looked even smaller and skinnier than he really was because all he had to wear were old clothes of Dudley's, and Dudley was about 4 times bigger. Oh, I'll wait because so you guys can see that the illustration. Well, there's just some big spiders in there. Sorry, I'm gonna go back a little fast. And Dudley was about 4 times bigger than he was. Harry had a thin face, knobbly knees, black hair, and bright green eyes. He wore round glasses held together with a lot of Scotch tape because of all the times Dudley had punched him on the nose. The only thing Harry liked about his own appearance was a very thin scar on his forehead that was shaped like a bolt of lightning. He had it as long as he could remember, and the first question he could ever remember asking his Aunt Petunia was how he had gotten it. In the car crash when your parents died, she had said, and don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. That was the first rule for a quiet life with the Dursleys. Uncle Vernon entered the kitchen as Harry was turning over the bacon. Comb your hair, he barked by way of a morning greeting. About once a week, Uncle Vernon looked over the top of his newspaper and shouted that Harry needed a haircut. Harry must have had more haircuts than the rest of the boys in his class put together, but it made no difference. His hair simply grew that way. all over the place. Would you like to go, Miss Ayers?
Sure. There's like a weird annotation on the screen you can erase probably.
Oh, is there? Okay. Oh. Let me ask Lee. Okay, go ahead.
Harry was frying eggs by the time Dudley arrived in the kitchen with his mother. Dudley looked a lot like Uncle Vernon. He had a large pink face, not much neck, small, watery blue eyes, and thick blonde hair that lay smoothly on his thick, fat head. Aunt Petunia often said that Dudley looked like a baby angel. Harry often said that Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. Harry put the plates of eggs and bacon on the table, which was difficult as there wasn't much room. Dudley, meanwhile, was counting his presents. His face fell. 36, he said, looking up at his mother and father. That's 2 less than last year. Darling, you haven't counted Auntie Marge's presents. See, it's under this big one from Mummy and Daddy. All right, 37 then, said Dudley, going red in the face. Harry, who could see a huge Dudley tantrum coming on, began wolfing down his bacon as fast as possible, in case Dudley turned the table over. Aunt Petunia obviously scented danger too, because she said quickly, "And we'll buy you another 2 presents while we're out today. How's that, Popkin? 2 more presents. Is that all right?" Dudley thought for a moment. It looked like hard work. Finally, he said slowly, "So I'll have 30, 39, Sweetums," said Aunt Petunia. "Oh," Dudley sat down heavily and grabbed the nearest parcel. "All right, then." Uncle Vernon chuckled. "Little Tyke wants his money's worth, just like his father. Attaboy, Dudley," he ruffled Dudley's hair. At that moment, the telephone rang, and Aunt Petunia went to answer it, while Harry and Uncle Vernon watched Dudley unwrap the racing bike, a video camera, a remote control airplane, 16 new computer games, and a VCR. He was ripping the paper off a gold wristwatch when Aunt Petunia came back from the telephone, looking angry and worried. "Bad news, Vernon," she said. "Mrs. Figg's broken her leg. She can't take him." She jerked her head in Harry's direction. Dudley's mouth fell open in horror, but Harry's heart gave a leap. Every year on Dudley's birthday, his parents took him and a friend out for the day, to an adventure park, hamburger restaurants, or the movies. Every year, Harry was left behind with Mrs. Figg, a mad old lady who lived 2 streets away. Harry hated it there. The whole house smelled of cabbage, and Mrs. Figg made him look at photographs of all the cats she'd ever owned. "Now what?" said Aunt Petunia, looking furiously at Harry as though he had planned this. Harry knew he ought to feel sorry that Mrs. Figg had broken her leg, but it wasn't easy when he reminded himself it would be a whole year before he had to look at Tibbles, Snowy, Mr. Pot, and Tufty again.
Do any of you want to read? Itzel? Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself, Itzel. Can you unmute yourself?
There.
We're at We Could Phone. Can you see it?
No. Oh, we could phone Marge, Uncle Vernon said. Suggested. "Don't be silly, Vernon. She hates the boy." The Dursleys often spoke about Harry like this, as though he wasn't there, or rather, as though he was something very nasty that could understand them, like a slug. "What about, what's her name? Your friend Yvonne, on vacation in Majorca," snapped Aunt Petunia. "You could just leave me here," Harry put in hopefully. He'd be able to watch what he wanted on television for a change, and maybe even have a go on Dudley's computer. Aunt Petunia looked as though she'd just swallowed a melon. and come back and find the house in ruins? She snarled. I won't blow up the house, said Harry, but they weren't listening.
Good. Does anybody else want a chance?
I do.
Who's that? Alexander?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I suppose we can take him to the zoo, said Aunt Petunia slowly, and leave him in the car. That car's new. He's not sitting in it alone. Then he began to cry loudly. In fact, he wasn't really crying. It had been years since he really cried. But he knew that if he screwed up his face and wailed, his mother would give him anything he wanted. Nicky Duddy Domes, don't cry. Mommy won't let him spoil your special day, he cried, flinging her arms around him. I don't want him to come, Dudley yelled between huge pretend sobs. He always spoils everything. He saw Harry and Nancy grin through the gap in his mother's arms. Just then the doorbell rang. Oh, good Lord, they're here, said Aunt Petunia frantically. And a moment later, Dudley's best friend, Piers Bookless, walked in with his mother. Piers was a scrawny boy with a face like a rat. He was usually the one who held people's arms behind their backs while Dudley hit them. Dudley stopped pretending to cry out once. Half an hour later, Harry, who couldn't believe his luck, was sitting in the back of Dursley's car with Piers and Dudley on the way to the zoo for his first time in his life. His aunt and uncle hadn't been able to think of anything else to do with him. But before they left, Uncle Vernon had taken Harry aside. I'm warning you, he had said, putting his large purple face business, anything at all, and you'll be at a cupboard from now until Christmas. I'm not going to do anything, said Harry. Honestly, but Uncle Vernon didn't believe him. No one ever did. The problem was strange things often happened around Harry, and it was just no good feeling telling the Dursleys had to make them happen. As Aunt Petunia, tired of Harry coming back from the barber's, looking as though he hadn't been at all, and taking a pair of kitchen scissors and cut his hair, or so short he was almost bald except for his bangs, which he left to hide a horrible scar.
Okay.
I laughed until...
Does anybody else want to read? Okay, Mr. Del Reyes. Dudley had laughed himself silly.
Dudley had laughed himself. Oh, can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay.
Here. It's because this thing is wrapped around.
There.
Okay.
Dudley had laughed himself silly at Harry, who spent a sleepless night imagining school the next day, where he was already laughed at for his baggy clothes and taped glasses. Next morning, however, he had gotten up to find his hair exactly as it had been before Aunt Petunia had sheared it off. He had been given a week in his cupboard for this, even though he had tried to explain that he couldn't explain how it had grown back so quickly. Another time, Aunt Petunia had been trying to force him into a revolting old sweater of Dudley's. Brown with orange puffball brown sweaters.
Brown sweater.
Brown sweaters. Magical brown sweaters. Miss Ayres had a brown sweater that she loved, guys. Okay, moving on now. Moving on. Okay, another time, Aunt Petunia had been trying to force him into a revolting old sweater of Dudley's, brown with orange puffballs. The harder she tried to pull it over his head, the smaller it seemed to become, until finally it might have fit a hand puppet, but certainly wouldn't fit Harry. Aunt Petunia had decided it must have shrunk in the wash, And to his great relief, Harry wasn't punished. On the other hand, he'd gotten into terrible trouble for being found on the roof of the school. Oh, sorry. On the roof of the school kitchens. Dudley's gang had been chasing him as usual when, as much to Harry's surprise as anyone else's, there he was sitting on the chimney. So he was just being chased, and then suddenly he was amongst the chimneys, guys. The Dursleys had received a very angry letter from Harry's headmistress telling them Harry had been climbing school buildings. But all he'd tried to do, as he shouted at Uncle Vernon through the locked door of his cupboard, was jump behind the big trash cans outside the kitchen doors. Harry supposed that the wind must have caught him in mid-jump. So many mysterious things happening. Weird. But today, nothing was going to go wrong. It was even worth being with Dudley and Piers, to be spending the day somewhere that wasn't school, his cupboard, or Mrs. Figg's cabbage-smelling living room. While he drove, Uncle Vernon complained to Aunt Petunia. He liked to complain about things. People at work, Harry, the council, Harry, the bank, and Harry were just a few of his favorite subjects. Do you guys have like one thing that you guys like to complain about all the time? You guys have anything you like to complain?
Miss Huffman not giving me enough homework.
Oh, I'll let her know. Okay. This morning it was motorcycles. Roaring along like maniacs, the young hoodlums, he said, as a motorcycle overtook them. I had a dream about a motorcycle, said Harry, remembering something. Suddenly, it was flying. Uncle Vernon nearly crashed into the car in front. He turned right around in his seat and yelled at Harry, his face like a gigantic beet with a mustache, like a big red angry face. Motorcycles don't fly! Dudley and Piers sniggered. I know they don't, said Harry. It was only a dream. But he wished he hadn't said anything. If there was one thing the Dursleys hated even more than his asking questions, it was his talking about anything, acting in a way it shouldn't. No matter if it was in a dream or even a cartoon, they seemed to think he might get dangerous ideas.
Miss Ayers?
Miss Ayers, do you want to do the next part?
It was a very sunny Saturday, and the zoo was crowded with families. The Dursleys bought Dudley and Piers large chocolate ice creams at the entrance, and then, because the smiling lady in the van had asked Harry what he wanted before they could hurry him away, they bought him a cheap lemon ice pop. It wasn't bad either, Harry thought, looking at it as they watched a gorilla scratching its head, who looked remarkably like Dudley, except that it wasn't blonde. Harry had the best morning he'd had in a long time. He was careful to walk a little way apart from the Dursleys so that Dudley and Piers, who were starting to get bored with the animals by lunchtime, wouldn't fall back on their favorite hobby of hitting him. They ate in the zoo restaurant, and when Dudley had a tantrum because his Knickerbocker glory didn't have enough ice cream on top, Uncle Vernon bought him another one, and Harry was allowed to finish the first. Harry felt afterward that he should have known it was all too good to last. After lunch, they went to the reptile house. It was cool and dark in there, with lit windows all along the walls. Behind the glass, all sorts of lizards and snakes were crawling and slithering over bits of wood and stone. Dudley and Piers wanted to see the huge poisonous cobras and thick man-crushing pythons. Dudley quickly found the largest snake in the place. It could have wrapped its body twice around Uncle Vernon's car and crushed it into a trash can. But at the moment, it didn't look in the mood. In fact, it was fast asleep. Dudley stood with his nose pressed against the glass, staring at the glistening brown coil. Make it move, he whined to his father. Uncle Vernon tapped on the glass, but the snake didn't budge. Do it again, Dudley ordered. Uncle Vernon wrapped the glass smartly with his knuckles, but the snake just snoozed on. This is boring, Dudley moaned. He shuffled away. Harry moved in front of the tank and looked intently at the snake. He wouldn't have been surprised if it had died of boredom itself. No company except stupid people drumming their fingers on the glass trying to disturb it all day long. It was worse than having a cupboard as a bedroom, where the only visitor was Aunt Petunia hammering on the door to wake you up. At least you got to visit the rest of the house. The snake suddenly opened its beady eyes. Slowly, very slowly, it raised its head until its eyes were on a level with Harry's, and then it winked. Harry stared. He looked quickly around to see if anybody was watching. They weren't. He looked back at the snake and winked too. The
Ooh.
snake
That's
head,
cool.
Uncle Vernon and Dudley, then raised its eyes to the ceiling. It gave Harry a look that said, I get that all the time. I know, Harry murmured through the glass, though he wasn't sure the snake could hear him. It must be really annoying. The snake nodded its head vigorously. Where do you come from anyway? Harry asked. The snake jabbed its tail at the little sign next to the glass, and Harry peered at it. Boa constrictor, Brazil. Was it nice there? The boa constrictor jabbed its tail at the sign again, and Harry read on. This specimen was bred in the zoo. Oh, I see. So you've never been to Brazil. The snake shook its head, and a deafening shout behind Harry made both of them jump. Dudley, Mr. Dursley, come and look at the snake. You won't believe what it's doing. Dudley came waddling towards them as fast as he could. Out of the way, you, he said, punching Harry in the ribs. Caught by surprise, Harry fell hard on the concrete floor. What came next happened so fast, no one saw how it happened. 1 second, Pierce and Dudley were leaning up, right up close to the glass. The next, they had leapt back with howls of horror.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's okay. I'll just read from here. They don't have to see me.
Yeah, but can they hear you?
I think they should go. Okay. Harry sat up and gasped. The glass front of the boa constrictor's tank had vanished. The great snake was uncoiling itself rapidly, slithering out onto the floor. That's what Paloma wanted to happen at the San Diego Wild what was the safari park. She was asking for this. People throughout the reptile house screamed and started running for the exits. As the snake slid swiftly past him, Harry could have sworn a low hissing voice said, Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo. Oh, he speaks Spanish, right? Well, the keeper of the reptile house was in shock. But the glass, he kept saying. Where did the glass go? The zoo director himself made Aunt Petunia a cup of strong, sweet tea while he apologized over and over again. Piers and Dudley could only gibber. As far as Harry had seen, the snake hadn't done anything except snap playfully at their heels as it passed. But by the time they were all back in Uncle Vernon's car, Dudley was telling them how it had nearly bitten off his leg, while Pierce was swearing it had tried to squeeze him to death. But worst of all, for Harry at least, was Pierce calming down enough to say, Harry was talking to it, weren't you, Harry? Uncle Vernon waited until Pierce was safely out of the house before starting on Harry. He was so angry he could hardly speak. He managed to say, Go, cupboard, stay, no meals, before he collapsed into a chair, and Aunt Petunia had to run and get him a large brandy. Oops. Harry lay in his dark cupboard much later, wishing he had a watch. He didn't know what time it was, and he couldn't be sure the Dursleys were asleep yet. Until they were, he couldn't risk sneaking to the kitchen for some food. He'd lived with the Dursleys almost 10 years. 10 miserable years, as long as he could remember, ever since he'd been a baby, and his parents had died in that car crash. He couldn't remember being in the car when his parents had died. Sometimes, when he strained his memory during long hours in the cupboard, he came up with a strange vision, a blinding flash of green light, and a burning pain on his forehead. But this, he supposed, was the crash, though he couldn't imagine where all the green light came from. He couldn't remember his parents at all. His aunt and uncle never spoke about them, and of course, he was forbidden to ask questions. There were no photographs of them in the house. Does anyone else want a chance to read? Paloma, do you want to read? No? Okay. Nancy, anybody else? Dahlia? No? Yeah, Dahlia? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
When he had been younger, Harry had dreamed and dreamed of some unknown relation coming to take him away, but it had never happened. The Dursleys were his only family. Yet, sometimes he thought, or maybe hoped, that strangers in the street seemed to know him. Very strange strangers they were, too. A tiny man in a violet top hat had bowed to him once while out shopping with Aunt Petunia and Dudley. After asking Harry furiously if he knew the man, Aunt Petunia had rushed them out of the shop without buying anything. A wild-looking old woman dressed all in green had waved merrily at him once on a bus. A bald man in a very long purple coat had actually shaken his hand in the street the other day and then walked away without a word. The weirdest thing about all these people was the way they seemed to vanish the second Harry tried to get a closer look. At school, Harry had no one. Everyone knew that Dudley's gang hated that odd Harry Potter in his baggy old clothes and broken glasses, and nobody liked to disagree with Dudley's gang.
Aw, I feel bad for Harry.
How dare they make fun of his clothes? Those are Dudley's old clothes. It's his fault. They're so baggy.
True.
What a hypocrite. Okay. Guys, if you haven't, did you guys all, that was a cool chapter, by the way.
Mhm.
Did you guys all send in your addresses?
Yes.
To us on the Class Dojo? Yeah?
Well, I did.
On the assignment? We're just testing that out, see how it goes.
What?
Oh,
What's the question?
Alexander wasn't there.
Oh, Alexander. So on Class Dojo, when you have a chance, go to our stories.
Oh.
Go to Harry Potter Pod, and then I sent out an assignment. So we're just testing it out. Miss Ayers and I are trying to help some of the kindergarten and first grade teachers who are using Class Dojo to send kids stuff. So it's an assignment. So go to your
looks like a vampire monster.
Yeah.
try it out. And if it doesn't work out, let us know. You can just send us your address on through the message. Okay? We just need your address because we're gonna whoever wants to send out the materials for your bracelet, so you can make a bracelet.
Mr. Dallas,
What?
I did not send in my address.
I think I know where you live. Under the stairs in my house.
No.
If you're lucky. Before I kick you out of here. Guys, can I, real quick, before I forget, I think we forgot to make a list. No, I did not.
Mr. D.
Wait, hold on. Who's in Gryffindor here?
Me.
Okay, so enough for you to. Anyone else here? Gryffindor? Call out your name. Anyone else? You guys remember anyone else that was in Gryffindor? Are you Gryffindor?
Yeah.
Frida.
Frida, I got some.
Esley.
Let's see.
How many minutes you been?
I think Xavier.
No, Xavier's in Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw. Okay.
Lana and
We'll keep it like that for
Gryffindor.
now.
Should we meet again next Tuesday then?
Next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Miss Ayers, next Tuesday? You want to give it do next week, or?
I think if we're gonna finish this book by the end of the school year, we're gonna have to meet more than once a week.
Okay. Do you want to do Friday?
Friday, I'm supposed to meet with the student council.
Oh, student council. At what time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How about Thursday then?
Alice in Hufflepuff.
Do you guys want to do Thursday?
Mr. Dashley.
Thursday.
Thursday, okay, guys?
Yeah.
You guys busy? You guys have things to do on Thursday?
No.
You guys going somewhere, like your living room?
Yeah.
Okay, Isabel,
Wait.
Hufflepuff. You guys remember? Miss Air.
Lolly.
Ava. Oh,
You guys say sit Lolly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ava.
Is she? Eva? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. I thought you were a Gryffindor. I might have marked you wrong then. Okay. Alexander, I think you missed that first meeting. So you're
Is it
gonna have to
Michael with you?
Hufflepuff, Raven.
Is it Michael with you?
Michael? Oh yeah, he is. He hasn't been meeting though. Okay, who's in Ravenclaw?
Me.
Paloma. Paloma.
Xavier.
Xavier is? Okay.
Yeah. I think
That's it.
Giselle is.
Mama, in Mr. Reyes thing, I'm in Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. An accident. I remember.
That's
I'm
in,
in Hufflepuff and Gryffindor.
I like that.
Which one did you?
The clothes must look like a vampire.
Which one are you claiming for your crew?
Mr. Dashley is.
Hold on 1 second. Let me meet people. Okay. Okay. Last one. Let's go with Ravenclaw. What did I miss? Oh, Slytherin. Slytherin. Oops, not Slytherin. Slytherin.
Romeo didn't come today.
No. Okay, I know Romeo is in Slytherin. Wait, do I have Romeo in here? Oh, King Romeo. King Romeo. Are any of you guys in Slytherin? Raise your hand if you're Slytherin. Nobody? Okay. All right. Sebastian Slytherin?
Yeah.
He wants to be Slytherin? Okay. I'm not buying him new stuff, though. All right. Okay, Ital, I got you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Alexander, we'll send you a link. Maybe we can send you a link to the test and you can take the test. Okay, Eva, I marked you as Hufflepuff. Okay, Paloma, did I mark you correctly? I'm gonna have you Gryffindor, right? Wait, what are you supposed to be in, Paloma? It's okay.
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw, let me double check. Oh yeah, I got you. All right, Cyrus, what group were you in, or what house?
Gryffindor.
Gryffindor. Oh. Cyrus. There we go. You said that. You don't remember? Oh. We'll keep it like that for now. Nancy, were you there at the first meeting? You weren't there at the first meeting, Nancy?
I was at the first meeting, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where we did the test.
What
Yeah.
house were you?
I was in Gryffindor.
Oh, you were? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oopsie. Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's fine for now. Then what we'll do is we will meet next. I'm sorry, this Thursday. This Thursday at 3. Okay, guys?
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to apparate out of here.
No.
What?
Delicious.
Wait, hold on. Yes?
I can raise my.
Oh my God, I'm so.
Are we good? Does someone have a question? Oh, Dahlia, you have a question?
We're gonna have to delete Daniela. She's in my class and she said she doesn't want to be in Harry Potter Club.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Take her out of here. Okay.
Sorry.
Anything else before we go? Okay. All right. I will see you
Bye,
guys
everyone.
on Thursday to read the next chapter. Okay? It's time for us to operate out of here. 3, 2, 1.